Alright, so here's 10 for hyperbolas. We're going to write the standard equation of a hyperbola. We're going to graph, identify its center, vertices, foci, asymptotes, all that fun stuff. So we're going to come up with a lot of things here. So, first off, you need to know what is a hyperbola. Hyperbola is the set of all points where the difference between the distances of the foci remains constant. So this is a little different than the ellipse. Okay, so with the little parabolas, because I always think of hyperbolas as opposite parabolas or reflected parabolas. Okay, those reflected parabolas are called branches, and there's basically two asymptotes that are created that crisscross each other that the branches go towards. Okay, so what we get is basically what we normally would do here is find the vertex and find the co-vertex, and I'll show you the formulas where you would get those. I normally would draw a box, as you can see based on these drawings, for the horizontal and vertical hyperbolas, and then from that I would draw the asymptotes, like connecting corner to corner of a box. Notice how that's all in broken lines. Then try to draw the hyperbola starting at the vertex towards the asymptotes, okay, like a curved line that goes towards the asymptotes. And then from there we can find the foci and everything, but that would be about it. The transverse, instead of saying a major and minor axis, we have what is called a transverse axis. Your vertices are on the transverse axis, the major one, and your co-vertex is considered on the conjugate axis, or what would be, in case, I guess you could say, the minor one, in reference to like the ellipse. Okay, this is all found on page 745, so there you go. Also on page 745 they give you like what is the standard equation, and although with the vertical one I would have to disagree with that one just a little bit, but let me double check one thing here. Okay, so everything here is fine. Take notice that on the vertical the y has to be first, so the a squared is always, the a is always going to be first, so kind of keep that in mind. That would help that. So actually we should say, so here it doesn't matter if A is bigger or larger, it's more about the who's first, Y or X, because that would decide if it's going to be a horizontal or vertical asymptote. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw an example, and I went to a checkerboard pattern, so that way I could actually have the, it would be easier to see where the boxes and the points are. Okay, so here's my example. I have x squared minus 16, or x squared over 16 minus y squared over 9 equals 1. The center is at 0, 0. Okay, A obviously is 16 and B is obviously 9. Okay, take the square root of 16, you get 4. Okay, and notice that's under the x. So you're going to go 4 sideways, 4 to the left and 4 to the right. That would give you negative 4 and positive 4, comma 0. Okay. Then for the co-vertices, take the square root of 9, which is 3, and you're going to go up 3 and down 3. That would be your co-vertices at 0, 3, and 0, negative 3. Okay. From that, what I want to do is draw horizontal and vertical lines that will basically make a box. That box, whoops, press the wrong button, sorry. That box becomes very important to seeing how you want to, from there, what you can do to make your asymptotes. Now the asymptotes do have their own formula, but to me this is also pretty easy. Once you make the box, go from corner to corner and make a line. That will become your asymptote, the line that the parabola or the hyperbola will get close to. Do the same thing to the other corner. Okay, so now you have your asymptotes. You know your vertex is these points right here, and you're going to draw lines, curved lines that will get close to, starting at the asymptotes, get close to the, or starting at the vertices, get close to the asymptotes. Now the foci formula is to c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So what you need to do there is say, well, what's 16 plus 9? 16 plus 9 is 25. Square root of 25. then would be C is 5. So that tells me my foci go 5 on the transverse axis, 5 to the left and 5 to the right. So at negative 5, 0 and 5, 0. Also, you should keep in mind that the equation of your asymptotes is y equals b, or negative a, b over a. So it should be 3 over 4, positive and negative. Okay, so that's the first example. There is a lot there that gets covered, so you need to make sure. I would definitely suggest having a formula sheet to help you remember all that or keep track of all that. Maybe even have a general example like the drawings that are on page 745 and kind of give yourself little tips and hints there. Okay, here's another example, and actually let me go ahead and back it up a little bit. I'm going to make some changes to this. Okay, so let's start there. Right there, it should be x squared over 36 minus y. Actually, should be y squared over 36 minus x squared over 25. And again, the number there doesn't matter. It matters more which one is on top, which one is first. In this case, the y squared is first, so that means my major, or my transverse axis is going to be along the y. Okay, so keep in mind again, you're taking the square roots, and whichever letter is over the a. The a is always first, and so the letter that's over that will become your transverse axis, the major one, and that would tell you if it's vertical or horizontal. If it's y first, you should have hyperbolas that are going up and down. If it's x first, you should have hyperbolas that are going left and right. Center is still at 0, 0. The vertices are at 0, 6, and 0, negative 6. The co-vertices are at 5, 0, and 0, negative 5, 0. Okay, let me pause something here real quick because I have no clue why I have that little line there. But there we go. Okay. So hit play. You see me connecting my box after I've drawn my vertices and co-vertices, and then from there I'm going to make a slope, a diagonal line that will connect corners to corners, and then I can just make my drawing like that, and I'm pretty much done. Okay, so from there I can again say c squared is equal to 36 plus 25, which is 64. Take the square root of that, you get 7.8. Get my foci right there at 0, 7.8, and 0, negative 7.8. And then my asymptotes, the equation for my asymptotes is a over b, so keep that in mind, and that's 6 over 5, and y is equal to negative 6 over 5. So you just make sure that you put it in correctly. There's lots of questions I can get from this, so kind of keep that in mind. Okay, so how about can you get the equation when you're given the graph? Okay, so here's an equation, or here's a graph. Now let's come up with the equation. Well, the first thing I would do is find the vertices and co-vertices. So I can see here it's at 5, negative 5, and 3 and negative 3. So that would tell me that A is 5, and B is 3. And since the hyperbolas are going sideways, left and right, that means it should be x first. Okay, so I would do there is then say, right, x squared minus y squared, and then put, of course, a division symbol under them. Okay, and then I go, okay, what's 5 squared? 5 is 25, and that should go under the x. Oh, and set that equal to 1. 3 squared is 9, so put that 9 under the y squared and go from there. There's your equation. That's it. You're done. Okay. Now, again, you can find the graph of the line there. You can find the foci. The foci here, c squared is equal to 25 plus 9, which is 34. Square root of 34 is about 5.8, which doesn't give you much room to write down the foci, so I'm just drawing them right there. And then y is equal to, should be, actually this should be 3/5 and 5/3. So let me go back there and rewrite those and say 3/5 and y is equal to 3/5 x here. Because again, it should be, for the vertical ones, b over a. or I'm sorry, the horizontal hyperbolas should be b over a. Okay, so there's that one, and that's it. You know, simple example. Okay, on page 746 they do give you some formulas for when it's move the center off the 0, 0, and you can follow those. And then from here, let's look at an example, and I'm going to go here. So, and I should have set this equal to 1. I'm surprised I didn't, but let's set that equal to 1. Okay, so we're going to go, here's x plus 2 squared over 16 minus y minus 1 squared over 9. Well, the center is negative 2, comma 1, again, going with the opposites. Okay, so, and then vertices. Okay, now, the a is 16. The square root of 16 is 4. That means I need to go 4 to the left and to the right of that negative 2, 1. Okay, and you can count that to find those points. I already figured out those points, but there you go. The square root of 9 is 3, so I need to go up 3 and down 3. So that would give me my co-vertices. And then do everything I've been normally doing. Make my asymptotes, make my hyperbolas, find my foci. 16 plus 9 is 5, or 25. Square root of 25 is 5, so I had to go 5 from that center to the left and to the right. And there you go. So it's really not much different than everything else we've seen. That's hyperbolas, and that's it. Thank you very much, and hopefully y'all will be able to work on the assignment and do really well.